At 5 a.m. on February 24, 2022, Vladimir Putin ordered his army to invade Ukraine. He launched missiles and sent attack helicopters. It was the biggest invasion in Europe since World War II. President Putin hoped his overwhelming force would capture Ukraine in one fell swoop and make it part of Russia forever. Putin said Ukraine shouldn't exist, despite decades of independence from the Soviet Union. In Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, an exodus began. Women and children loaded onto trains to be refugees. Men staying to fight as volunteers.
It has been like this all day. There's a lot of confusion about where these trains are departing from.
Others fled on foot.
The Ukrainians blew up this bridge in order to slow down the Russian advance, but it has also made it extremely difficult for people to evacuate these areas that are hotly contested.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky surprised many by staying despite what looked like impossible odds. He rejected an offer from Washington to escape with his life.
Is there a way to prevent this war from escalating even further now?
It's not about I want to talk with Putin. The world has to talk with Putin because there are no other ways to stop this war.
Ukrainian forces rallied and halted the Russian advance at the gates of Kyiv. But the missile attacks against civilians never stopped.
Attacking apartment complexes like this is a terror campaign to frighten Ukrainians into surrendering, but it's not working. And all the damage here and across this country is only convincing Ukrainians of the need to fight even harder or lose everything.
The Ukrainians kept fighting and pushed back the Russian advance. But in driving out Russian forces, they revealed the horrors of what Russian troops did in areas of Ukraine they'd occupied. In places like Bucha, bodies were discovered with their hands bound. Survivors accused Russian forces of executions and rape. Outraged, inspired, and with growing support from President Biden and European leaders, the Ukrainians managed to liberate most of their country.
They lost a lot of soldiers, a lot of tanks, a lot of equipment, just because they thought that Ukrainians will be happy to see them. But Ukrainians are happy to see them dead.
But not all of it. Russia still occupies about 20% of Ukraine, in the south along the Black Sea, and in the east in an area known as the Donbass. A roughly 600-mile front line separates the two sides. And while this war has never slowed down, it has evolved. When artillery ran low, both sides quickly turned to cheap and deadly drones, making this the world's first drone war. The death toll has been staggering. Although neither side reports military losses, an independent American study this summer estimated Russia has suffered around 1 million dead and injured. Ukrainian losses are estimated to be lower, but with this war being fought on their land, Ukraine is suffering in many ways. Some Ukrainians still sleep in the subways as Putin sends his drones and missiles to attack Ukrainian cities and civilians far from the front lines.
And Tom, once again, it feels like a historic time here. Ukrainians recognize that they haven't been able to recapture all the land Russia occupied and that they may have to make territorial concessions. But they say if they do have to give away land, they should at least be in the room when those decisions are being made.